Hey everybody, just getting started live here. A little bit nervous about this technology. I've done Facebook Live and I've done Zoom calls, but today I'm doing Facebook Live via Zoom. So just gonna wait till 3 o'clock to really get started. If you can let me know you're here and can hear me, that would be perfect. Good to see you all today. Wait just another minute. Alrighty, it looks like it's 3 o'clock straight up. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Alrighty, so welcome to Can You Be Healthy Without Dieting? I'm Lisa, and I'm so glad that you're here today. I put this webinar together to answer some questions that I've been asked lately, and I just want to help some people understand my point of view, what they might consider a new point of view, and actually share some information with you about why my point of view has changed. First of all, let me tell you a few things about myself. Most of you probably know me, but some of you may not. So I just want to share some information with you, kind of a backstory for how I got to where I am. I am a healthcare professional. I've been a registered nurse in the emergency department for about 30, 35 years. And so I've seen how people are challenged by chronic illness. And about 2 years ago, I added a new hat, and that was a certified health coach. And because of my emergency department experience, I really wanted to be able to help people on the front end of their health journey. So I got my health coach certification and started coaching clients. Another thing about me that probably has impacted my unique perspective as much as anything is the fact that I am a heart attack and a stroke survivor. So I have a very personal interest in being as healthy as possible. And that is something that always drives me is to learn more about health, what impacts health, and of course apply that to my life and then be able to apply that as I coach my clients. And last but not least, I've been a dieter for right at 5 decades. That is really hard for me to believe. I started my first diet way back when I was 12 years old, and I'm approaching 60 very quick. I'll be 60 in 2 weeks. So that's almost 5 decades of dieting. So I have a genuine interest in health, well being, weight loss, dieting. How do they all connect? Do they exclude one another? What is the answer to all of these questions? So I didn't put together any slides. I wanted this to be very informal. I've got some notes here just so I don't forget anything. But let me just say that after my last so-called successful diet, I lost about 50 pounds. And a little over a year later, I had regained much of that weight that I lost. So, as a person who's very interested in science, very interested in research, I started digging. I really started to look and see. I want to know what the science says about the success of dieting, success of um, being able to keep weight off, and how being overweight impacts one's health. So I began to do a lot of research. And so all of that research over the past 6 to 8 months has really led me to where I am today and to this webinar. I have been posting on my Facebook a little bit of an inkling about my mindset change, about weight loss and about dieting, and I've had some questions about it. So I really wanted to just share my thoughts with you and what caused me to change the way that I approach weight loss and dieting and its impact on my health, and also how it's changed my coaching philosophy because it has impacted how I handle weight loss with my clients. So let's go ahead and get started. Uh, the question of the webinar is, can you be healthy without dieting? And I've asked this question multiple times over the past 6 months on a variety of platforms. I've asked it on my Facebook page, my personal page, and my business page. I've also asked it on my website and a blog. And just this week, I asked it on my Instagram account and share with you my screen. It's not a very good thumbnail, but there you see it. Question: can you be healthy without dieting? Vote. And 100% of the people who saw my Instagram story said yes, you can be healthy without dieting. Get rid of this. Come back to me. So, people say yes, you can. People are always dieting, always dieting. And part of my research led me to the fact that the weight loss industry is a $67 billion industry per year. Yeah, that's a lot of money, a lot of money. So there's a lot of people out there that believe you can be healthy without dieting. There's a lot of people out there that are dieting, and how much money the weight loss industry is making is a clear indication that people believe that dieting is necessary. So here is where I'm going to start talking about my research of the scientific examination of diets, weight loss, and that type of thing. And if we're going to ask ourselves, can we be healthy without dieting? I think the first thing we have to ask ourselves is, what's the definition of health? And so, with all the COVID and the pandemic going on, I think most everyone has heard of the World Health Organization, or the WHO, and this is their definition of health: a complete state of physical, emotional, and social well being, and not merely the absence of disease. So, their definition of health impacts the body, the mind, the emotions, and also where one fits in the world, and does not merely address just being disease free. So, as I talk about all of these research, scientific research that I've dug into and conclusions I've come to, I want to let you know I can send you the links to anything I mention. I can also send you the links to the dozens and dozens and dozens of scientific research that I reviewed, because I want you to know that it's not just an opinion, it's not just something I've come up with, but it is actually true. It's actually science. I also don't want to bore you with a lot of scientific details. So there's just a couple that I want to review in this webinar that I really found interesting. One of the best studies that I found, and the reason I loved it so much, is because if you're going to do science, if you're going to do a research project on something, you need to have lots and lots of people participating. You know, to study 10 people really doesn't tell you much, because not a big enough sample. So this particular study was done at UCLA in 2016, and it included over 40,000 participants. That is a nice sample size. And what they did was they measured the health of all of the participants based on 6 health metrics: blood pressure, cholesterol, triglycerides, blood sugar, insulin resistance, and CRP. And CRP is just a measure, a marker of inflammation in the body. So these 6 health metrics were uh, measured on all 40,000 plus of these participants. And the results were very, very interesting. If you take the BMI, which most of you probably heard of the BMI, that is a number that particularly healthcare professionals will use. It's an equation that's developed based on your height and your weight, and it comes up with a number, and that number tells if you're of a normal weight or if you're overweight, obese, or morbidly obese. So, and also, of course, underweight as well. But this research showed that 47% of those who were in an overweight BMI were actually healthy. Almost half were actually healthy, according to those 6 markers. 29% of the obese people, the people who had a BMI that indicated that they were obese, were also determined healthy based on those 6 markers. And an interesting thing to note is that 31%, over a third, of the people who were of a normal weight BMI were determined to be unhealthy. So, what this science really does through a large sample of population is to show us that weight does not always exclude health. Another research study that I found pretty fascinating was one that showed that physical fitness was more predictive of mortality or death rates than weight or BMI. So they took a group of people and they determined their physical fitness levels. And what they called physical fitness was 3 to 4 hours of walking each week. So a very mild low level threshold for determining physical fitness. It wasn't CrossFit every day, it wasn't hot yoga, it wasn't boot camp mentality. It was merely 3 to 4 hours per week of walking indicated physical fitness. And the people who participated in that 3 to 4 hours per week physical fitness, physical activity, were actually less likely to have a death event versus those who were measured only on their BMI. Here's a startling research fact. Up to 90% of those who lose weight dieting will regain that weight that they lost or more in 1 to 5 years. That says a lot. Up to 90% of those who lose weight dieting will regain that weight in 1 to 5 years. So what if your car wouldn't start 90% of the time? What would you do? You just keep calling in or trying to find a ride? Not likely. Not likely. The problem is that for most people who lose weight, they cannot keep that weight off permanently. So what ends up happening is, in a desire to be thin and a desire to be healthy, people begin to yo-yo diet. And so if we notice that up to 90% of people who lose weight regain it, it puts a person in a constant cycle of weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain. Over and over, that cycling occurs over the years. And this is where the hugely negative impact on health becomes concerning, because the science shows that yo-yo dieting leads to increased risk of diabetes. It leads to increased risk of cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, increased accumulations of abdominal fat, and also increases the risk of chronic illness. So you can see very easily how yo-yo dieting, which many people are trapped in a cycle of because dieting doesn't work. You can't keep the weight off permanently, so you lose and gain and lose and gain. The yo-yo dieting has a severe, severe effect on health. So Perhaps the question of the webinar should be changed from can you be healthy without dieting to can you diet and be healthy? Most all of the research done on dieting and weight loss shows there is no proven way to permanently lose weight for most people. I've lived that. I know lots of people who have lived that. And I think that the diet culture that we live in that says thinness equals health, thinness equals happiness, thinness is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, is something that people try to achieve because they believe those things, because the diet industry with $67 billion a year is able to advertise and bombard us with messages over the decades that tell us that a heavier body is not healthy and a heavy body is not acceptable. But when you boil it down to there is no proven way to permanently lose weight for most people, that can be of concern. So, what are the negative effects on health as a result of dieting? Uh, the body begins to retain more fat after the diet ends because your body, your brain perceives dieting as famine or starvation. And your body and your brain are created to keep you alive. And if the body and brain detect a decrease in calories immediately, your metabolism lowers. You store more fat once the diet's over. Once the famine's over, your body's like, oh, I better store up some fat in case we go through another famine. Binges and cravings increase as a result of dieting. The brain is a very smart character, and if you start to tell the brain it can't have something, watch it. That'll be the thing that you crave. That'll be the thing that you want. So when you're deprived of certain foods or food groups or certain macronutrients, your body is going to crave those, and your brain is going to obsess you with those things. Dieting also, as we talked about, yo-yo dieting, which very few people that go on a diet once in their life lose the weight and keep it off forever. Most of us are victims of yo-yo dieting. And as we said, yo-yo dieting increases your risk of premature death, heart disease, and several other chronic illnesses. Eating disorders are another negative side effect of dieting. You talk about the emotional impact of diets, increased stress. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of mental energy to keep all the food rules and deprive yourself of the things that you want. Figure out ways to try to boost your motivation and your willpower. You develop a sense of failure over time. You begin to think, what's wrong with me? When in actuality, what's wrong is that the diets don't work. Science shows that. The diet industry doesn't want people to know it, but it's true. Self-esteem goes down, your confidence goes down, your trust in your body goes down. You begin to wonder, what's wrong with me? When in actuality, there's nothing wrong with you. What's wrong is the diet plan that you've been sold. So after all that, you might say, well, so what? Is there an answer? And I think there is an answer. Let me show you here. Just bear with me 1 second. Oops. Here we go. This is Coach Lisa T's coaching philosophy, coaching health philosophy. And if you look at this sun and the many, many rays that are coming out from that sun, you see that nutrition or food is only one ray of this big old sun. So if we know that it's impossible for most of us to permanently lose weight, then what if we focused on some of the other rays or all of the other rays? And that's what I do through my health coaching program, is actually help my clients look at each of these components of health and approach health from a very holistic attitude. There's more than one thing you can do to be healthy, and all of these things impact our health. And I think that seeing it demonstrated in an image like this really helps my clients to really put it all together and see that, well, wow, there's one little piece of it up here, nutrition, and then there's all these other things, moving your body, managing your stress, changing your mindset. It is hard to change behavior without first changing your beliefs and how you think. Self care is so important, and many of my nurse friends know for certain that they've spent their lives caring for others, but they forgot to care for themselves. And so, when we begin to focus on building a self care program, they're actually able to see how uh, just doing a few things, changing a few small things, can make such a difference in how they feel. Medications is another thing that I work with my patients on. There are some medicines that all of us might be on for the rest of our lives. As a heart attack survivor, I will be on a platelet inhibitor forever. And so there's things that we can learn and do and make the ability to take medications easier, decrease the side effects, connections with other people, and being a part of our community, body image, sleep, hydration, mindfulness, self compassion, spiritual needs, emotional needs. There are all of these rays of health that contribute to being a healthy person. And like I said a while ago, since we now know from science that there is no permanent proven way to lose weight for most people, then to focus on health is like, I mean, to focus on weight loss as a component of health alone is like going out and getting in that car that 90% of the time won't start. It won't take you anywhere. One approach that I'm using now personally, and that I'm also beginning to use in my coaching program, is intuitive eating. And what intuitive eating does is it helps you get back in touch with your internal cues, your body cues. We're all born intuitive eaters. If you had a baby or taking care of a baby, when the baby's hungry, they let you know and you feed them. And when they're full, they let you know they quit eating. And so all of us are born with those innate body wisdom cues that just happen naturally, just the same as our blood pressure is maintained and our respiratory rate is maintained, our body temperature is maintained. All of those things are things that the body does to maintain balance. And eating and being full is one of those things that we're born with. And then somewhere along the way, either through the role modeling of our parents or through the messages that come through our culture that is very fat phobic and is very much influenced by the thinness equals health, thinness equals happiness kind of mindset, we internalize those messages that say, I can't trust my body anymore. I need external guidance on how to eat, what to eat, when to eat. And we begin to turn down that barometer, that thermostat that tells us when we're hungry and reminds us that we're getting full, and replace that with a whole bunch of measuring, weighing. We just totally negate the signals that our bodies send us and eventually begin to be numb to them and don't even recognize true hunger until we're so hungry that we're physiologically just overwhelmed, and then all bets are off. You might eat the whole cake at that point. So what intuitive eating actually does is help you begin to eliminate the diet mindset, those external cues, and become more in tune with listening again to your body's wisdom. You know, if you need to go to the bathroom, for instance, you don't question it. You don't wonder if your body really means it. Maybe I should wait an hour or two, or wonder how much longer I should wait. You go. the signal. We're used to it and we go. So, what's the difference with food? And the difference with food is, again, that we have internalized a whole lot of rules and regulations that tell us we cannot trust our bodies anymore, and we stop listening. And so, intuitive eating actually rejects the diet mentality and brings you back to a place where you're able to hear your body, eat when you're hungry, quit when you're full, and actually utilize intuitive eating as a component of self care, of actually doing what's right for your body, what your body needs, because it puts you back in control. A diet's not in control, a diet guru's not in control. Nobody's in control but you of your body and your decision making relative to eating. And so that is what I have gone to over probably the past, I guess it's coming up on 6 months, and I'm also beginning to coach my clients in. It's really, intuitive eating is rooted in self care and self value and curiosity, trusting your body to know when you need to eat and when you need to stop, and becoming curious from a place of self compassion where, if you do eat something that maybe you shouldn't have in your diet mind, rather than responding with judgment and shame, you actually are able to look at that and consider it with curiosity. Well, I wonder why I did that. I wonder why I ate that. Wonder, wonder, wonder. You become a scientist in the laboratory of your own body, and you're able to really determine um, as you reflect on how you might do things differently in the future. And that's where that mindset work comes in. And that's where a lot of that emotional work comes in, because a lot of us don't show ourselves a lot of self compassion. If we screw it up, we're very hard on ourselves. And so I work a lot with people to help them learn new ways to develop self compassion and to develop a high, strong value for themselves. And in the end, it's really doing what's best for your body, guided by your body, not some external uh, food rules, food police, dieter brain. There's a whole lot of terms out there for that external cues that tell you when and what and how to eat. So, would we be better off if we were to focus on what we can do to improve our health? That's the conclusion that I've come to, and that's the conclusion that I'm guiding my clients to. My personal experience indicates that this is true, because when I did the study of the science, it became very clear to me when you can boil it all down to there is no proven way to permanently lose weight for most people. That for me said, not interested in dieting anymore. After 5 decades, I'd say it's high time. And I'm finding great success with it. And I'm finding great peace with food. My relationship with food has changed a great deal. And I'm just very excited. I feel like I have a key that I can hand to people and work with people with to help them actually um, change their lives, change their lives. And that is such a meaningful thing. So if you're interested in talking to me more about this, I wish that you would just please send me an email at Health Coach Lisa T, Health Coach Lisa T, all one word, at gmail.com, or you can send me a message through Facebook and let me know. I do 1 to 2 hour exploration calls, and they're basically just a time to talk about this even further, figure out ways that you can apply some of these principles to your life, and just talk about where you're at now at a baseline. Envision future you, who you'd like to be health wise in the future, and then working together to kind of develop some early steps to move you in that direction. So, email me or message me. If you've got my phone number, you can text me, and let's set something up, because I would love to talk to you more about this. I had several people send me in some questions before this got started because they weren't going to be able to attend live, and just go over these couple of these real quick. Can I lose weight without dieting? Well, my question is to you, would you lose weight permanently with dieting? Um, and most people's experience is no. You know, most diets will work 3, 4, 5 months, up to a year, sometimes even 2 years. But like I said, that when you look at the science behind weight loss and all the studies that have been done, when up to 90% of those indicate that up to 90% of people who have lost weight will regain that weight and more in some cases in 1 to 5 years. Um, can you lose weight without dieting? I would have to say, I'm not sure. You know, doing intuitive eating, you may lose some weight, you may not lose some weight, but the peace that you make with your body and with food and just the way that it overhauls your look at life, to me, is worth all the lost weight that I have lost and gained over the years. And I think my clients would agree. You know, it's a new concept. It's hard to wrap your mind around at first, especially if you're steeped in diet culture, which most of us are. The next question is, can you really eat anything you want? And the short answer to that is yes. And the long answer to that is yes. You can really eat anything you want. Now, there's a whole lot of journey in between there. And that's why I think it's so important that you schedule that call with me so we can really talk about what that journey looks like. You know, I didn't get up one day, study about intuitive eating, and the next day I was satisfied with being an intuitive eater. It was a journey, and I'm still on the journey. It's natural, it's normal to revert back to our old habits when we're tired, when we're stressed, when we don't have a good plan and life happens. We fall back on those old things because they feel comfortable, and our brain likes that. Our brain's got one goal, and that's to keep us safe. And so, a lot of times when things don't go just so, fall back into those old thought patterns that cause same old actions that I used to fall prey to. But can you eat anything? Yeah, you can eat anything. Ask me someday about the bag of donut holes a few weekends ago. What about nutrition? There is nothing in what I am saying to you that I would want to give you the idea that nutrition is not important to me, because really self care is all about making choices that make you feel good. So over time, my choices may have improved compared to the first week or two where I was like, kind of like, woohoo, I can eat anything I want to, however much I want to, whenever I want to. That's kind of that wrecking ball. You know, you're way over here in diet culture, and then somebody tells you can have anything you want, anytime you want, as much as you want, and that wrecking ball goes way back over here to Crazyville. And what happens then is through intuitive eating, that wrecking ball kind of settles down in the center where you're not listening to your reptilian brain tell you a bunch of rules about when and what and how to eat. And on the other hand, you're not just crazy wild out of control, just eating anything that you get your hands on, because number one, you're not deprived. You take that deprivation out of the picture, and as your brain learns that you're not kidding, you're not tricking, I can have anything to eat I want, then that wrecking ball settles back down into the center, and you get to become more and more of an intuitive eater. So, what about nutrition? I would say that I eat very nutritious foods on a whole, but I also do from time to time enjoy things that maybe aren't so nutrition. The difference is I don't beat myself up about it at all. At all. Food is a joy, food is a pleasure. And you take the social connection out of it and cultural aspects and the celebratory things that are related to food, like family get togethers and birthday parties and those kind of things. You separate food out of your life, and you're separating yourself from a whole lot of important joy as far as I'm concerned. So, what about nutrition? As you become more and more in tune to your body and listening to what your body needs and what makes your body run well and what makes you feel good, you're going to make nutritious choices. But you're going to have those fun things from time to time as well. And that's going to be when you want them, when you want them. So that wraps this up. I hope it's answered some questions for people. I really wanted to kind of explain why I made the shift I did and open up some questions that people have been asking me, and then give you the opportunity to hear about the exploration call and how to contact me so that you can talk more about it. Because I think that if you can plug in to some of this self care and a holistic approach to health where you're not just focusing on weight loss, but you're focusing. I did a little video the other day. It's on Coach Lisa T on Facebook. And I said, what if for a month you drank an adequate amount of water every day? You moved your body for pleasure every day, and you got adequate levels of sleep, 7 to 8 hours of sleep every day. What if you insisted on those three things for a month? What do you think would happen? You think you'd feel better? I am certain that would make you feel better. I am certain of that. So there's so much more to health than weight loss. And personally, I'm not focusing on weight loss anymore. And I really am not coaching my clients toward weight loss anymore. I am guiding people to become intuitive eaters because I believe that that is exactly what our bodies were meant to do. And there is so much research behind. The initial book, Intuitive Eating, was written in 1995, and since then, 60 research studies have been done on intuitive eaters, and it's amazing. It is amazing. While their BMI, their number of pounds on the scale, may not be exactly where a healthcare professional might think they should be or where diet culture thinks they should be, they are healthy and they are vibrant and they are thriving and they are controlling um, blood sugars and they are controlling blood pressures and they are healthy, energetic, doing well people. And what more could we want? You know, I have such a vested interest in staying healthy myself, and I have a vested interest in helping others to get healthy and stay healthy too. So if there's anything I can do to support you, I hope you'll let me know. And I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, I can't follow the chat while I'm zooming through Facebook and all of that, but you can send me a message or email me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions for you that I can. And so have a great rest of the day, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye bye.